We're continuing on our series of in the Gospel of Luke. Chapter 20 was about how Jesus, in his final week before his death on the cross, he was teaching people in the temple court, and he encountered multiple religious leaders. The groups of religious leaders come and attack him with different issues. First, we saw how chief priests and scribes and elders came up and challenged his authority and the nature of his authority. And Jesus taught them his authority is from above, from heaven. He had a divine nature. And then again, Jesus taught them, giving them the parable of witness of how they were going to kill him. And also, he was challenged by chief priests and scribes again, challenged him of how the issues of paying taxes to Caesar, the Roman emperor. And then later we saw how Sadducees challenged and argued against Jesus about the doctrine of resurrection. And a couple weeks ago, we saw how Jesus asked him a question about how could King David called the Adonai 1,000 years ago before Christ came. And the very phrase, Psalm 110, verse 1, Yahweh said to Adonai, "You sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your foot." And Jesus taught them his divine nature, and he was the promised Messiah that King David saw. And with that, he concludes by today's message. Now he starts his focus on his disciples, but we see the content of his message was directed to the religious leaders, especially scribes. Verse 45, and in the hearing of all people, he said to his disciples. So all this sequence of arguments and debates and challenges were done in the public setting, and everyone was listening to all these conversations. And then and they are still listening, he focuses on his disciples. And he will teach about the hypocrisy of scribes. And he does that. The main reason he does this to teach his disciples on this issue is that he wants them not to be like the scribes who shows the hypocrisy. The same, this story is reminiscent to what happened in Luke chapter 12. He challenged his disciples about the hypocrisy of Pharisees. Luke chapter 12, verse 1. When so many thousands of the people had gathered together that they were trampling one another, he began to say to his disciples first, "Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy." So back when he does public ministry in the Galilee, on the way to Jerusalem, he challenged again to his own disciples about the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. But today he focuses on the hypocrisies of scribes. Verse 46. "Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes and love greetings in the marketplaces, the baths, the synagogues, and the places of honor at feasts." Scribes were the teachers of the law. They were professionals who know God's word, and they were the ones who are supposed to teach his people about the truth. But here we see their hypocrisy, and there are six hypocrisy that Jesus explained to his disciples. First is they like to walk around in long robes. At the time of Jesus, the robes represent the social status, and making it longer, they want to show off their social status, that they are superior to others. Excuse me. By making it longer, they thought that they were socially and religiously higher than other people. They wanted to boast their authority. But this exposed their vanity in their heart. By wearing these expensive, exquisite, luxurious long robes, they were showing, even though externally they're showing off their social status, it exposed their vanity in their hearts. We could mock them, we can mock the scribes, make fun of them. But are we free from this vanity in our hearts? Are we? We are living in a generation which is driven by the consumer products with brand names, designer labels, and luxury items. You go certain shopping centers, shopping malls filled with these shops with expensive items. And when we see people with these latest smartphones, high-tech computers, luxury shoes, clothing lines, expensive bags, nice houses, nice cars, nice boats, somebody with planes, what do you think? Do you get jealous? Do you want them too? Honestly speaking, I do get jealous. Sometimes I desire them as well. When I go to shopping malls, I'm afraid to get into some of the shops because they look so expensive out from outside as well. Satan often lures us with this sin of vanity. We want to show off with what we have. We want to show people what we have. And that is very sin of vanity. And that is how Satan tempts us. And that's how our forefathers and mothers were tempted. Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. So when the woman saw the tree was good for food, that it was a delight to the eyes, and the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit, ate, and she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. It was delight to their eyes, to the eyes of her heart. It was desire to make a one wise. Those countries who don't have access to these luxury items, designer labels, they don't even know because they never seen it. But because we are living in this society, we see constantly exposed to these advertisements and shops and marketplaces. When we see them, wow, how nice are they, right? I want them too. The vanity kicks in our hearts. It was like that for scribes. They show the long robes, and then they want to express their higher status, higher social status by showing them how much they have. Following Christ, being mature Christians, is about how much you are being freed from this vanity. How much you are free from these comparisons. And younger generations being exposed to this social media feed filled with this vanity. People showing off their bodies, their faces, products, makeups, muscles. They flexes with their cars and houses. And it's very driven, and then our younger generations are being filled with this vanity. I feel sorry for them. Because, they keep compared to themselves with others. And they're trying to catch up with this vanity and take photos with food with nice restaurants and Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not against having nice clothing or going to restaurants and nice food and nice, travel and all that. It's just, being mature in our faith is how much we are being freed from it. It's not about showing off what we have, how much we have to other people, but how we are closer to Jesus and how we are ought to use what we have for others and for His kingdom. Brothers and sisters, especially those parents who are raising the young kids, I want you to show the values to your kids that it's not about how much we have, but how much we serve with what we have. And God help us be free from this vanity. And the second to fourth reason that Jesus gives His disciples are about how scribes desired for their honor and fame. Again, if you look at verse 46, they love greetings in the marketplaces. They love the best seats in the synagogues. They love the places of honor at feasts. So getting greetings in the marketplace at the time of Jesus was not just saying hello. It was about public display of getting respect and honor. You greet me. You show me respect. You show me honor. And they loved it. They were hungry for honor. They're hungry for fame. They go around places and showing off their long robes and get people to show their respect to them. And they were hungry for getting affirmations from people. Are we free from this? Are we free from this affirmation from people? They loved the best seats in the synagogues. The time they go to synagogue was on the Sabbath day worship. Sabbath day worship was another opportunity for them to feel superior to others by sitting in the highest seats in the synagogues. They sit in the highest seats to feel like they're higher than other people, where the place we're supposed to be, honor God and respect Him, worship God. Instead, they worship themselves. It was the form of idolatry. And they love the places of honor at feasts. They go to these parties, and Jewish feasts was all about who is the most important people in the feast. And in the sittings, the higher seats get most important people, and as it goes down, you're less important. And church life gets harder when you start seeking respect from people. When you start seeking affirmation from people, church life gets harder. Are you in it to get respect from people or affirmation from people or approval from people? I'm so sorry. You may get disappointed. But this place about how you show your respect to Jesus and how you get affirmation from God. He is your only audience that you seek to get approval from. You come to church because you want to serve God and serve His people, not to get approval from people, not to get affirmation from people, but get approval from the Most High. And He's the one who approves you when you serve behind the scene, when you do certain things that no one knows, that He will reward you. He will show you respect. For as a minister, my biggest temptation is to trying to please everybody. I want to please you. I want to get approval from you. I want to get affirmation from you. And that is the biggest temptation for me. It's hard. And my fight, my spiritual fight is to honor God and get approval from Him, not from you. Let's make all about Him. This place is for Jesus. And you are here to please Him, to get affirmation from God. And the fifth reason Jesus gives, verse 47, they devour widows' houses. And this is interesting. It doesn't really explain how they did it. Scholars say that clearly the widows are the people who are vulnerable. They needed help and care. And the scribes are called to help them, care for them. But instead of helping them, they took the advantage of them. They demanded service fees. They demanded offerings from them. And when the widows had to make some transactions for their properties, they took the fees. They took the commissions from them. That's such a hypocrisy. And for a pretense, make long prayers. Prayers is about our intimate relationship to God based on His Word. We want to converse with Him. We want to show our heart to Jesus. And we want to speak to God through prayer. But they prayed for a pretense. They pretended to pray. They made up prayers thinking that everyone will look at them and how good their prayers are. It wasn't about talking to God. It wasn't about intimate relationship with God. They made it all about themselves. And Jesus warned them, warned His disciples, they will receive the greater condemnation. And this is interesting. Jesus wasn't speaking to scribes who were standing there, but He was talking to His disciples. What does that mean? He's talking to His followers not to be like scribes, not to make this sin of vanity, not to make this a sin of pretense. There's a condition called narcissism. Narcissism, there are three main traits of narcissism. The first trait of narcissism is about grandiose sense of self-importance. You are the most important person among everybody. A second trait of narcissism is about excessive need for admiration. You want admiration from other people. And the third trait is about their lack of empathy for others. So, self-importance, desire for admiration, and lack of empathy are the three main traits of narcissists. Scribes were narcissists. Are we? Am I a narcissist? Am I making myself most important among all people? Am I desiring admiration from other people? Am I lacking empathy for others? I hope I'm not. I hope you are not too. As a follower of Christ, we deny ourselves. We deny ourselves. We take up our cross and follow Jesus. It's not about me. It's not about others giving me admiration. But we sympathize others, we help others, we love others, not to get approval, not to get affirmation, but because of Jesus. And Jesus says they will receive the greater condemnation. Why? Because the scribes are supposed to teach God's people His word and help those who are vulnerable and care for them. Westminster Last Catechism, excuse me. Westminster Last Catechism, question number 151. It talks about which some sins are more heinous than others. This is a very long answer, but first part says this. Sins receive their aggravations from the persons offending if they be of reaper age, greater experience or grace, eminent for profession, gifts, place, office, guides to others, and whose example is likely to be followed by others. So those who have more power, more authority, more education, more positions, more age, more experience, supposed help those who are under you. But if you sin against inferior, if you sin against those who have less positions or less educations or less authority, your sins are greater. There'll be more condemnation. You know, our denomination struggles with this. There were ministers who sinned against young kids, sexually abused them. Our hearts are broken by such incidences. And we paid penalty as a denomination. And these people who are supposed to serve those who are under them, they sinned against them. And so, for those of you who are parents, it's about not sinning against your kids, your children. And those who are managers in your workplaces, it's not sinning against people who are working under you. And those of us who are serving the church as a leadership, it's not about sinning against those who are under us. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just really struggling now. We need to guard our hearts from any religious hypocrisy. Jesus giving the condemnation to those scribes. Now there's a story of his commendation. The commendation is to the person who was poor and also widow. Luke chapter 21, verse 1. Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the offering box. He saw a poor widow put in 2 small copper coins. At the time of Jesus, in the temple court, there were 13 offering boxes. I don't know why there is such number, but there were 13 offering boxes. And everyone saw who's putting in how much. And there was even a record book that you put how much. So you could easily show off by how much you give to offering boxes. And this word, which is describing the poor widow, a poor word, paniknan, is the only place it's used here. And that this is not just being poor, but extreme poverty. And then she put in 2 small copper coins. These copper coins, in Greek word repton, is the smallest currency at the time. So smallest currency for us is a cent, right? So smallest currency for us is 1 cent. So basically she's putting the 2 cents. The 2 cents might have been the minimum required to put in offering boxes. And Jesus analyzes this incident. Verse 3, he said, "Truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them." At the time of Jesus, it was tough for widows to get a job, and many were considered to be worse situations and often needed help. It must have been tough for her to even just to get 2 cents. And she put into a small couple of coins. In verse 4, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on. I know I said for us the minimum, the smallest currency is 1 cent, but at the time was 1 lepton, but it might have worth close to like $2 for us. So she was living off $2 per day. And she gave that all. You know, God does not lack any money. Why? God owns everything. But why does God want us to offer Him money? Because God sees our heart and where our heart is. And how we use our money is what we worship. And this does not mean for you to sell everything and give to God. It is not. It means that you give to God. You give to God from your heart. That's what He's trying to teach us. In my entire life, I don't think I have done nothing like what she did. I never given like her. This poor widow, the way she gave, is just amazing. It takes faith. It takes heart. I don't think nothing I did before God compares to what she did. But I want to give my heart to Jesus. And the way we give offering is the expressing of our heart. Jesus says in His Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, verse 20, "Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Where your treasure is, there is your heart. How you spend your money, there is your heart. Where you invest your money, there's your heart. And we cannot see when we store up the treasures in heaven. But God knows. God sees your heart and how you give to Him. I want to end it with this passage from Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 12. "Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me, and when you seek me with all your heart." Are you seeking God with all your heart? Do you call upon Him? Do you cry out to Him? Do you pray to God with all your heart? He promises you, He will answer you. He will promises you, you will find Him. When you seek Him with all your heart. If God is not there, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't really matter what's in your heart, because you're the only one who knows about it. But if He truly exists, if He's there to see your heart, it matters what you think, what you pray, and what you're seeking, how you spend your money, how you spend your time. My prayer for you is that you go after God. You seek Him, you pray to Him, you seek His truth, you seek His purpose, you seek His meaning, and give your heart, give your life to Him. He will answer you. He will find you. He will save you. Let's pray together.